Speedlab, it's not all about making cars go fast and more horsepower, more torque and all of that. We also do boring stuff like maintenance. Like on this 2009 Montero, it's a 10-year-old car. Things start to happen. Noises start to come out. You'll hear tok tok tok, ting ting ting, nyik nyik. That's normal for pretty much any car. Anything mechanical that moves will eventually develop some sort of sound because it's wear and tear over time. We already took this car out for a test drive, and from initially what we can tell, steering rack needs work because when you turn it, there's a tok 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 sound. And when you brake, there's also a clunk sound. So that means we have to check the brakes as well. It's actually, you don't have to wait for the various sounds to come out. The reason why it's called PMS is called Preventive Maintenance Service. You prevent it from happening before it happens. So, very good example, stabilizer bushings. These normally wear out anywhere from a year to about 3 years, depending on the car. You don't have to wait for it to have a sound. But the bad part about being in the Philippines is, hindi pa sira yan, wag mo palitan. Thereby, there is no prevention that's happening. Pag sira na, saka mo papalitan. That is always the mentality of the Filipino people. Kasi, hindi sira, bakit ko papalitan? Gastos lang yan. And then when you ask for an estimate from the CASA of the preventive maintenance schedule, they include a lot of things. Let's say stabilizer bushing, shock absorber, axle boot, CV joint, shock mounting. All of these things are not broken yet, but about to break, will break, can possibly break. And then you get surprised of the bill. Oh, ba't ang dami? So it's more of a culture thing more than anything else. So if you really want a properly maintained car, even if it's not broke, you change it. The CASA's job is to maintain your car. Maintenance means you keep it running problem-free. Things like weird sounds coming from the suspension, there is already a problem. When the CASA gives you an enormous long list of things that need to be changed, it is because it is what, let's say, Honda or Toyota, the factory gives them. Okay, at X number of kilometers, change this, change that, even if it's not broken, for worry-free performance for the next X number of kilometers or miles. This may look very daunting to almost anyone. Your car is in pieces. Parang nangyari sa kotse ko, ba't nakalas lahat? But that's the thing about cars. As long as it moves, it will break down, it will wear out. And the only real way to tell if a part is really worn out is not just by looking at it. You have to take it out and test it. A very good example is this one. Most everybody knows this is a shock absorber. This is what happens to a shock when it's not working. I mean, it looks okay. There's no leak. Physically and visually, everything looks fine. But you should be able to push it down easily and it should go up. Well, I can't push it down and it don't go up no more. So, hindi na yung ginagawa trabaho. It is absorbing no shock in your car. So the result is actually matalbog yung kotse or matagtag. In this case, it's matagtag because it is resisting the motion of the spring. So this shock is effectively throw away. Other small things that get broken are almost always rubber related. The metal itself, let's say this one, this is the ball joint. Itong bakal hindi naman nasisira to eh. I mean, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine, overall this is fine. But the bearing inside here is actually a cup and a ball. Over time, pag gumagalaw, it wears out and gets loose. This, I should not be able to move by hand. Hindi dapat malambot to, dapat matigas to. And then, the easiest way to figure it out, if there's something wrong with it, you hit it really hard like this. This happens when you steer the car, so in this Montero's case, sabi niya, pag todo liko, may tumutunog na tok tok tok. Chances are it's this one. So that's another thing. Small non-critical items are like this one, steering axle boot. If this is still on the car, physically, okay naman ah. But only pag tinanggal mo, dun mo malalaman na punit na pala. And oil, grease will leak out through here. And pag nawala ng grasa, umiingay yung pyesa. So we're changing it with a new one. Fresh and new. No hole, no nothing. Other items that have ball joints like this one, this is also part of the steering assembly. This is also soft. I should not be able to move this by hand, so should not make that sound also. So tapon na rin to. We have replacement parts for pretty much anything available on the market. If the Casa has it, there's always an equivalent replacement part. Cheaper than Casa, pretty much just as good also. Other things that we look out for are items that get worn out, like here, brake shoe. This is especially true for drum brake cars because it is behind the brake shoe, as in hindi mo nakikita. Part of periodic maintenance actually involves taking this entire thing out and physically checking the brake shoe here. This, by the way, is already, we replaced the brake shoe, and this is the original size, ganon kakapal. This is what your brake shoe is now, less than half the size already, so palitin na. And among other things, that brake rotors for the front. As you notice, this is very shiny right now because this has been refaced. This is the cheaper way to do it. You can actually reface rotors up to about 2 times before they get too thin to reface, and then you have to replace it because this does get worn down over time. So this is still fine. Most of the kalampag and other things that narinig mo while driving is pretty much suspension related. So periodic maintenance means visually checking each and every part by a shop that knows what it's doing, and then if needed be, take out the part to physically inspect it and test, like what we just did a while ago, to see if it's still working as it should. This is also why if you delay periodic maintenance and then wait until na medyo madami ng sira, when you ask for an estimate from the Casa or another shop, mahaba yung listahan. Eh, madaming sira eh. And can you tipid yung paggawa? Of course you can. O, gagawin mo lang to, ayaw mo to kasi mahal. Ayaw mo rin to kasi mahal. Ito, tsaka na to. But just like a person, you cure one ailment, the rest of the ailment are still there, madadamay at madadamay yan. Your brake pad is actually here, manipis na rin nga eh. That's less than half. New brake pads are like this. Old brake pads versus new brake pad. This is what's left on the old brake pad. This is what a new brake pad is. So times 2. Yes, they are now ceramic brakes. There are no more metallic brakes. There are no more asbestos brakes, as some of them old timers may remember. So it's pretty much this one. They're all ceramic now. So the noise and other weird noises are pretty much a thing of the past already. This is what's the inside of your drum brake. Looks pretty daunting na parang, dami naman yan, ano yan? This is the one that does the handbrake. This is the piston. Pag tumapak ka ng preno, fluid goes here, bumubuka to para itulak dun sa brake shoe. That's what actually does the braking. This thing here is the handbrake. Yung ratatatat narinig mo, ito yon. Here, fresh delivery from KYB Philippines, we have a set of new shocks for the Montero. This, by the way, is a KYB XLG. XLG is their line of OEM quality replacement shock absorbers. They are most normally known as KYB Color Black. Very simple. And it has to look exactly the same as your original shock absorber. Kailangan pareho itsura nito. Pag hindi pareho itsura, hindi papasok sa kotse. Same height, same everything. Remember the shock where it is so hard to push down and don't go up? Your new shock absorber should be fairly easy to push down and goes back up. This one will give you back the right comfort in your car. Okay, our maintenance on the Montero is done. We've replaced a bunch of items in the suspension, most notably the shock absorbers, the rubber bushings underneath, stabilizer links, and a few maintenance items like axle boot. It's torn, we replaced that, and almost all the kalampag and noise and tick 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 tok 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 sounds are not present anymore. I won't say it drives like brand new, but it definitely drives a lot better than before it came into the shop and had all of this done. Then after everything, we put it on the dyno again and then we retuned it. So we got 200 horses. Not bad for a 10-year-old car. So once again, like the name says, PMS, Preventive Maintenance Service. You prevent it from breaking down. So bago masira, palitan. Wag yung Filipino way na pagsira at saka papalitan. So here at Speedlab, we not only do racing and performance stuff, we actually do maintenance also, the boring things. Change oil, spark plug, engine overhaul we have to do also. Because first and foremost, if you want more power from your car, you have to make sure that your car is running well and in good condition first. You can't make a car more powerful if there's a bunch of problems wrong with it. So we have to address that, and that's what we do also. Anything mechanical as far as engine and suspension related is concerned, we also do that. Have a problem with your car, weird noises, bring it over to the shop so we can test drive it, and most importantly, we can hear what the sounds are, because you can message us through Facebook also, but saying something like, may ingay yung kotse ko at may kalampag does not really help us in diagnosing what the noise is. So it's better to bring the car in for us to see, test drive. You drive it, you let us hear what the noises are, and then together we can look at the car and we can point out, oh, this is the potential problem, this is what we see, ito may tulo, ito may tagas, and all of that. So at least you get a first-hand view and what exactly is wrong with your car, and to know that, okay, these are the things that I need to replace.